What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So for today's video, we got a problem with the window regulator in this 2011 Ford Escape. It's starting to give me trouble. So when you see something like this, the window goes down okay, but then you see something like that. It's slow going up, you hear some funny noises. It's at that point that you know you're in trouble. So if you are gonna tackle this job by yourself and you see that, order your parts and get them ready, because at any time, this window can be stuck open and then you're in trouble, right? So get your parts ready and, you know, if you're gonna attempt the repair. Now, this is a relatively easy repair to do, guys. If you're mechanically inclined and you wanna tackle it, you should be able to pull it off. This is one of those repairs. If I could do it, you could do it. So enough talking, let's get into the video. Okay, so here's the tools that you're going to need. Phillips head screwdriver, 3/8 ratchet with a 10mm socket, a pick tool, a Torx 30, and a 3/8 adapter for the drill, and a drill with a Phillips head on it to speed things up a little bit. That's it. That's all you're going to need. And here's the new window regulator and motor. Like I say, I noticed that the window was coming up a little slow about a week ago. And checked with the local auto parts stores. Nobody had it in stock, so I had to order it. And ordering in advance made it easy for me, because the next time I had a day off, I could tackle this project. So yeah, easy and breezy. We're gonna install this. Okay, so to tackle this job, the first thing you gotta do is pry that off. And you need a little screwdriver or interior tool that you could get to do that. Behind here, there's a little plate that you take off with the pick tool. You get to a T30 in there. You got to pry this up and get this up out of the way and unplug the switches to get that out. Okay, and then there's a bunch of screws. There's one there, and another one down there. And you just lift this baby up, get the door panel off, and get to what's in behind there. So let's get to that now. Okay, so in the door handle, there's a little kind of cover plate down in here. Pull that out, and there's a Phillips head screw in there. You got to take that out. Get that. And also behind the door handle, there's another plate that's got to come out. Just kind of grab that. Try to do this one-handed. Get these guys out. And you can see in there, this is a T30, and we're just gonna ratchet this guy out. Okay, so at this point, this bezel and switch here for the windows has to come out. Now, normally this would be held in with clips after the screw has been removed, but the clips are broken. So somebody's clearly been in here already. But at this point, you just kind of lift this up, and then you gotta take those two connectors out of there. All right, so let's take care of that. And you just reach in here, grab a hold of that clip, pull it out. You just push in on that little guy like that, and this comes out. Just like this one too, you just push in on this, and she comes out. Piece of cake. And now we gotta take these screws out. Just loosen them up. Like so. Okay, so now that we got them loosened up, we'll just buzz them out this way to save a little time. Like so. And there's another one back here that we got to get to. You see that? Let's get to that one. Okay, so we'll just loosen this guy up a little bit. and then we'll buzz it out. Okay, so at this point, all the screws and everything's been removed. It's time to pull this back, and because there's clips in here holding this thing in tight, and then you sort of pull this away and lift it up over the tombstone to get it out. So let's get to that. Now this is when you break the clips. Sometimes you just don't really know what's going to happen, but you got to get them out. This one over here is giving me a little trouble. There we go. Lift it up over the tombstone. And there she is. So with the door panel pulled back, you could see the cable that operates, the opening and closing of the door right there. This little guy right here has to be removed. It's basically just like a bicycle cable, for your brakes or for whatever it is. So we'll just disconnect that now. Okay, so you see this is held in just inside this plastic right here. You pull that back, just pull it out. This is old brittle plastic, so you really don't want to be too rough with it. I have to reach in front. There you go. You see, we got it out. All right, and this comes out of there, and you just lift up the cable. See that? Just like the brakes on your old bicycle. Okay, so at this point, this little wire connector has to be taken off. This is the connector for the lock and unlock button. You just press in on this little tab right there and pull that baby out. Piece of cake. All right, so a couple more things that are getting in the way. This little bracket here, this is the holder for the door switches, kind of holds everything on there. This little isolator is something that sort of just holds everything from rattling around so much. We got to get those off. Okay, and then we got to peel back on this, I don't know what they call that, vibration membrane or noise reduction material. Those are the last couple things that we got to get out in order to get to the nuts and bolts of things. Okay, so what we have here is a T30. We'll just ratchet this guy out. And we got this guy right here. This really, I can only imagine the purpose for this is to hold the door panel in the proper position. These aren't exactly the right tools. Okay, if I had an interior tool, it might make this a little bit easier, but we'll just loosen this up and try to get this out of here. Okay, so after you pull those push pins back a little bit, you just rotate this counterclockwise, pull it right out. So one last thing, these little push pins are sort of stopping the, stop me from being able to get this off. So we got to pull these out, get them out of the way. They come off pretty easy. Just get behind them with a pick and just get at them, pull them out like so. This one's a little difficult. And that's it. Pull this baby back. This little sort of black, looks like an RTV sealant up here, right? You have to lift this up over the tombstone just to get this out of the way. Pull it back. Tough to do this one-handed. And there we go. And you can see what we have here. Sort of cut this And if you have an extra set of hands, if you have a helper around, it would help a little bit, but you do it yourself. Like I say, guys, if I could do it, you could do it. So we'll just pull this back, pull these cords inward this way so that we can get this back far enough. And there we have it. All right, let's dig into the guts of this thing. You know, you got a couple of bolts here that hold in the motor. You got a 10 millimeter up here and another one down here that holds the track, right? So let's get to it. Okay, so here's something that I needed to do. To remove the window from the track, you got to get to that 10 millimeter bolt. But there's another one in there that you can't get to when the window is in this position. So I had to hook this back up, okay, and raise it to the point where those two 10 millimeter bolts are accessible. Another important note that when trying to do this job by yourself, taking those two 10 millimeter bolts out of there, the window is going to drop, okay, once you disconnect it from the track. So if you have a helper with you, that would be great. If not, stick something in there to hold that, okay, so the glass doesn't drop, and you can take those bolts out. And then once they're out, you can pull the window all the way up. Always have some painter's tape around, and we'll just tape the glass in the up position so that it'll stay there while we change the motor and regulator. All right, so we'll just crack these two 10 millimeter bolts loose. Don't seem to be very tight. All right, now we're gonna run them out with the drill. Let's give this a try. Okay, with the window disconnected from the window track, we got a little 1x1 piece of wood, making sure that the window doesn't drop. What we got to do is lift that up and tape it up. We got our tape ready right there. We're going to lift it up to hold it in place. Okay, so at this point, we'll just lift the window up and get it out of the way. For some reason, this window doesn't seem to want to go up the way it normally would. Right, so as long as it's out of the way, we can just tape it up like this and hold it out of the way so that we can change the window track and the window regulator. Okay, so at this point we could really get into this. The glass is being held up, and we could take out our window track, motor, regulator. Got a 10 millimeter nut here, another one here, that releases the track. And then you've got three little 10 millimeter bolts here that releases the motor. You can see these two are slotted, so you take this one out, then you take those off, loosen these, lift it up, and pull it out. Let's do it. All right, so we crack all of them loose, like so. Really, guys, this is the fun part, because now is when you see your results. We'll loosen these guys up because they're actually gonna stay on. Okay, I got some tape holding this back, so I gotta tape this up. All right, and then we'll get the drill gun and we'll take these out. We'll just run these out. All right, and at this point, this thing should just come out. If we move her a little bit. Oh, I forgot to take this one off. All right, so this one's a little tricky, but just push in on that little tab. All right, disconnect that one. Got that in first. And just like this, the whole unit comes out Awesome. Let's put the new one in. Okay, so it's at this point that I've always made a habit of checking my parts to make sure that the ones I'm putting in are the same as the ones I'm taking out. Now you can see the motor is a little different. There's the new one, you know, a little different, but the mounting points all look the same. The tracks look the same. Everything looks the same. This one had an electrical connection right there on the motor, and that one's got a pigtail. A little different, but it should work. So let's put it in. Let's get this thing happening. Okay, so with the 2 bolts transferred, I'm going to try to nestle this guy in here as gently as we can. Okay. And once you get to this point, it's really not terribly difficult to just get everything to line up and drop it in. Here's the 2 bolts I transferred. So I'll just lay the motor in there, and this seems like maybe there's something in the way. Maybe it's the glass. It's always a little tricky. Sometimes you can't see, but there we go. She dropped in there, and she dropped in there. So we'll just put these on to hold it. Just the little 10mm nuts. And that's basically it. All right. Got this guy right here. And we are in like Flynn. Stuck in there, and just tighten these up. It's really very simple. Now there's a torque sequence for this. I'm not exactly sure what it is. These might be 47 inch-pounds, these might be 90 inch-pounds or something like that. I'm not going to concern myself too much with that. I'm just going to snug them up, because honestly guys, I think that this was changed at one point, because some of the things were broken. Some of the tabs on the electrical connections were broken. And there we have it. At this point, all we gotta do is drop the glass down, hook it up to the track, put everything back together. All right, so it's at this point that we're gonna lower the window to try to meet these 2 holes so we can bolt the window up to the new track. You can see she's held up there with the tape. Very important thing to consider when you're at this point is to make sure that that window is moving freely before you hook it up. Okay, because if it's not, you might break something when you eventually try to raise and lower the window. So, a little difficult to get you this video, guys, but let me just release this tape, lower the window down. Okay, she seems to be moving pretty freely. You get one in there, get it started. Okay, and the other. The other's a little difficult because she's a little deep in there, so. Just get them started, and then we'll tighten them up. All right, we got it. There we go. So like I say, guys, there's a inch-pound rating for this.
I think it's 47 inch-pounds. I'm not sure, but basically what that means is don't make them too tight. Once you got them on there like that, you'll see I'm hooked up. We're gonna test the window before we close it all up to make sure everything is okay. All right, guys, so as you can see, I have not put on the door panel yet. I want to test the new window motor and regulator before I put it all back together. So let's give it a try. Well, you can see she comes up a lot faster than she did at the beginning of the video. That old regulator was on the way out. The last thing that you want to do is have it go bad, and then you're stuck with the window open and you still got to use your car and you got to get to work and you can't find the parts and you don't have the time to do it. So you're just dealing with a car that's got open glass until you can get around to doing it, or you have to drop it off with a mechanic. You can see it was not a hard job to do. It takes a little time and a little foresight to have the parts available to you ready when you have the time to install it. Now, if you need a mechanic to do a job like this, by all means, there's lots of good mechanics out there. I'm sure that there's somebody who's going to help you out. But honestly, for me, guys, I was able to do this myself. I got the parts for 50 bucks, installed them myself, and that's all that it cost me. If I had to drop this off with a mechanic, I imagine it would be quite a bit more than that. I haven't checked to see what those prices might be. But you definitely save yourself a lot of money doing a job like this on your own if you can. And even getting the parts in advance, because I check locally to see if I can find these parts. And it cost 100 bucks if I could find somebody locally who had it in stock. I was able to get this window regulator for 50 bucks online. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. This is just a series of videos that I do lately every once in a while to make a repair. This is one of those ones. If I could do it, you could do it. So anyway, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you like this video, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next one.